My name is Tracy. I'm a certified trauma coach, and I teach people to recover from trauma and abuse, regulate their nervous system, reclaim their authentic self, and parent from peace with a trauma history. Today, I want to talk about the 3 states of our nervous system. So, the home base, where we strive to be, where we want to be, that is called our ventral vagal state. That's where we are calm, curious, social, comfortable. We're not overwhelmed, we're not dissociating, we're right where we want to be. Then you have your sympathetic state. Sympathetic state is when you get activated. You go into fight or flight. Now, fight or flight presents differently in different situations. Obviously, if you're getting chased by a bear, your fight or flight is going to be exactly that. You're going to fight the bear or you're going to run. But in situations where you can't fight or flee, how does fight or flight show up? Being restless, being agitated, being argumentative, lashing out verbally and yelling to defend yourself. Maybe physically distancing yourself from someone. You might not be able to actually run, but backing away. Those are all different ways in our more modern society that fight or flight can show up. Feeling overwhelmed, feeling touched out, not wanting to be touched. Those are all ways our sympathetic nervous system will show fight or flight. And the third state is what's called dorsal vagal or shutdown. That's when the stimulus or the threat becomes so overwhelming that your brain, your nervous system, pulls the plug. In some cases, that's literal. There are some people in extreme states of stress or threat will pass out. Other times they may not pass out, but they will go into a blackout state where they don't remember anything. They might be present, they might be engaging, but because their brain feels that they need to protect them so aggressively, they'll wipe their memory clean. You'll have a situational amnesia. And other ways that shutdown shows up is people pleasing. That's also known as fawning. Saying and doing whatever just to get the other person to calm down, so it extinguishes the threat. It's being isolative, disassociating, being physically alone, or just retreating within yourself and just being quiet and just reserved and just not really engaging. So those are our 3 states. Ventral vagal, which is where we want to be, where we try to be, our sympathetic state, and our dorsal vagal state. And the thing is, we actually fluctuate between all 3 of these states throughout the day. You're never consistently staying in one state for very long. And there's also something called mixed states, which is very common in certain situations. So let's say that you are going out dancing. You want to be there. There's no threat perceived, so you're not in fight or flight, but because you are engaging in a physical activity, that calls for your heart rate going up. It calls for a lot of different physical movements while you're doing it. Your sympathetic state does get involved in that, but because you're doing something that's social, you feel safe, you're engaged, that sympathetic state that comes in isn't necessarily negative. It's necessary, because if you're dancing around and your heart rate doesn't go up, you're going to pass out. Same goes for dorsal vagal. You could be in situations where you don't feel a threat, you're not overwhelmed, you actually want to be there, you're enjoying yourself, you feel safe, but maybe it's a calmer activity where you need to be in a calmer state. Let's say you're watching a play. Your heart rate doesn't need to be through the roof, your respirations don't need to be through the roof, so your dorsal vagal kicks in a little bit to make you in a calmer state. These blended states are very normal and a part of our life. You're never going to be solely just in ventral vagal for the most part, unless you're meditating or otherwise not engaged in a particular activity. And the goal of regulating our nervous system is recognizing what state we're in, why we're in that state, and how to get us closer to that ventral vagal state. Even if the other parts of our nervous system are engaged, even if we have a little bit of sympathetic activation or a little bit of dorsal vagal shutdown, getting ourselves closer to that ventral vagal state where we are functional, where we are calmer, where we can think and reason appropriately and not get swept away in one direction or the other. Hope that makes sense. As always, please follow, like, and share so we can share the education and support with everyone who needs it.